Hello my dear students, this is Biology by Indira Susarla. I am Indira and today's topic I'll be discussing with genetic code. And before I start discussing, in my last video we completed about transcription. Now after discussing genetic code, we have to discuss translation. So before knowing what is translation, we have to first know what is genetic code. So let us understand this topic in these 5 different subheadings which I have made. First, discovery, and then characteristics of genetic code, Waubel hypothesis, exceptions and mutations in genetic code. So in these different subheadings we are going to discuss genetic code. So first let us start with how the genetic code was discovered. So transcription, as we studied, transcription means it is synthesis of mRNA from DNA, and this synthesis is easy because it is based on the complementary nature between DNA and RNA. RNA is synthesized on one strand of DNA. So how is the synthesis taking place? It is based on the complementary nature of the DNA strand with that of the RNA strand. So based on complementary nature of these nitrogen bases, a new mRNA can be synthesized. But for synthesis of a protein from mRNA or from DNA, first from DNA, mRNA has to be synthesized, that is by transcription, and from transcription, by translation, a protein is synthesized. So whatever information present on mRNA will carry the information for synthesis of a protein. You know proteins are made up of amino acids. So which amino acid should be present in a protein? That message is carried by mRNA. mRNA is made up of nucleotides and proteins are made up of amino acids. So here there is a decoding or translation. We find there is a translation of the message present on mRNA. How is the message present? The message present on mRNA is in the form of codons. So the message of mRNA, which is in the form of codons. Codons are nothing but these are nucleotides. And this message of nucleotide should be converted into message of amino acids. That is what is taking place during translation. But there is no complementary nature existing between nucleotides and amino acids. Then how the amino acids are synthesized or proteins are synthesized? So whatever codons present on mRNA, that is actually decided by DNA. DNA will decide the codons, and based on the codons, a particular protein is synthesized. And it is observed that if there is any change in the nucleotide of DNA, there is also change found in protein. So that means it is the DNA which is deciding the proteins, that is amino acids present in proteins. But directly based on complementary nature, they cannot be decided because there is no complementary nature existing between nucleotides and amino acids. So to understand that, whatever information present on mRNA, whatever information on present of mRNA, they are decoded to form a polypeptide. So in message on mRNA is decoded because it is present in the form of coded language. So it is decoded. It is decoded to form a polypeptide. And this process, this decoding of mRNA, that is called as a deciphering of genetic code. Deciphering of genetic code. deciphering of genetic code. So this genetic code is present on mRNA. And how is this genetic code present? The genetic code is present in the form of codons. Genetic code, it is present in the form of codons. And codon is a group of 3 nucleotides. Codon consists of, it is a group of 3 nucleotides that forms a codon, and one codon represents one amino acid. This is the relationship between a codon and the amino acid. Now the codons which are present on mRNA, they have to be decoded. That is called as a deciphering. This is what is a genetic code. Based on this say observation, the genetic code is decided or genetic code is studied. So let us see, let us understand some of the studies made in the genetic code to understand the genetic code. So first study in genetic code was done by George Gamow, who was the first one to establish a genetic code. What should be a genetic code? So based on the number of bases present, he established what is a genetic code. He made different types of studies. We know there are 4 nitrogen bases present. 4 nitrogen bases present in DNA, and the amino acids which participate, they are 20 amino acids. They participate in the protein synthesis. So these 20 amino acids have to be coded with the help of the 4 nitrogen bases. So different combinations are studied to understand genetic code. In the first combination, when only one base is taken, the code is called as a singlet code. If only one base is taken, it is called as a singlet code. That means the codon must have only one nitrogen base. With 3 nucleotides, it was established later. But to start with, only one base was taken. So if one base was taken, the number of codons obtained were only 4. That is, the codons will have adenine, guanine, uracil, cytosine, each one with one nitrogen base. These 4 codons are not sufficient for 20 amino acids. Therefore, this cannot be accepted. Now, if 2 bases are taken, it is called as a doublet code. If 2 bases are taken, it is called as a doublet code. And here number of codons would be 4 into 4, that is total of 16 codons. These 16 codons are also not sufficient for 20 amino acids. So therefore, 3 bases are taken, 3 nucleotide, 3 bases are taken, and now the code is called as a triplet code. Now it is called as a triplet code. So it will be 4 into 4 into 4, that will give 64 codons. So these 64 codons are sufficient for all the 20 amino acids. Out of 64 codons, 61 are called as sense codons because they represent 20 amino acids. Remaining 3 are called as nonsense codons. Nonsense, that is, they do not represent any amino acid. They are simply present, or these are also called as the stop codons because they bring about termination of protein synthesis. So these are also called as a stop codons. So this was the first study made, and it was established that the genetic code is a triplet code. Now, next study made is the assignment of codons to a particular amino acid. Now we know that there are 61 codons representing 20 amino acids. So which codon represented by which amino acid? That is called as a assignment of codons. Assignment of codons. For assigning particular codon to an amino acid, different studies were made. So here they study, the most important study by H.G. Khurana, Hargobind Khurana, who is an Indian origin scientist, is an American scientist, and Nirenberg. These two scientists are given credit for deciphering of the genetic code, and they studied by using chemical method. They studied by using chemical method in cell-free systems. Cell-free system. Cell-free system means in isolated cells. Cell-free system is in isolated cells. The study was made in isolated cells. That is called as a cell-free system. It is done in isolated cells. So, now let us see what is the study done in these isolated cells. How is the study done for deciphering of genetic code? So, it is done by following two types of methods. One is called as a homopolymer method, and other one is called as a copolymer method. Homopolymer and copolymer method. So, homopolymer method is if only one type of nitrogen base is taken. Like for the first time only U is taken, uracil is taken. U means uracil is taken to synthesize an mRNA. So, here mRNA is synthesized by taking only uracil, that is called homopolymer. So, the entire mRNA which is synthesized will have all only uracil, and it is found that if only uracil is taken, the amino acid which is present here was found to be phenylalanine. Similarly, all other three nitrogen bases are also taken, and the type of amino acid was studied. But by this method, only 4 amino acids could be assigned to their respective codons. So, therefore, copolymer method was also studied. So, in copolymer method, we find a combination of two bases are taken. Say like for example, UC, combination of two, and other bases are added here. So, in this we find different combinations. So, UCA, or we find UCU, or UCG, or UCC. So, different combinations we can find. So, in this way, by using both the techniques, homopolymer method and copolymer method, different codons were assigned to a particular amino acid. That is called as the assignment of codons. And here, mRNA was synthesized by an enzyme discovered by the scientist Severe Ochoa. He is the scientist who discovered an enzyme where RNA can be synthesized in cell-free systems. And the enzyme he named is called as a polynucleotide. The enzyme he called as polynucleotide phosphorylase. The enzyme he called as polynucleotide phosphorylase, or this is also called as a Ochoa enzyme. After the scientist's name, this is also called as Ochoa enzyme. So, this enzyme was used for synthesizing RNA, mRNA in cell-free systems. How is it synthesized? The most important term you should know here. It is synthesized by template independent manner. It is synthesized by template independent manner. Template independent manner is there is no requirement of template for synthesis of mRNA. Normally we know DNA is required as a template for synthesis of mRNA. But here no such template is required for synthesis of RNA. So it is the synthesis is called as template independent manner. So this is how the assignment of codons was done, and every codon was assigned to a particular amino acid and a codon chart is prepared. It is called as by checkerboard, or a codon chart is prepared. We will discuss separately in a separate video how to understand that codon chart. That requires a separate session. So we will discuss that as a separate session. So now let us now discuss the third part. I have divided earlier the topic into 5 parts. First I started with the introduction part and then discovery, that is discovery part. So first part we started here, remember, discovery. We completed what is the discovery now. Now second topic I am going to start with what are the characteristics of genetic code. Let us understand the characteristics of genetic code. Characteristics of genetic code. So understand this one by one. I'm going to discuss this in detail one by one. What are the characteristics of genetic code? So first characteristic of genetic code, the first one, the genetic code is triplet. First character is genetic code is a triplet code. So this you can understand. A triplet code means it is a codon consists of a group of 3 nucleotides. So it is called as a triplet code. That is the first one. Now the second. The second one, triplet code you can understand, it's a group of 3 nucleotides. Now the second property of genetic code, let us see. Genetic code is non-overlapping. Let us understand what is non-overlapping nature of genetic code. Non-overlapping. We read genetic code on mRNA. We read genetic code on mRNA from 5' to 3' direction. Let me take an example of say CCU and CAG. Suppose these are the nucleotides present on mRNA. We have to read each one from 5' to 3'. Codon, you know, we have to take a group of 3 nucleotides. So if they are non-overlapping, we get only 2 codons. If it is non-overlapping, we get 2 codons. What are the 2 codons? CCU and CAG. Suppose now let us understand if there is overlapping. Suppose there is an overlapping. How do we understand overlapping? That means this last nucleotide of first codon will become the first nucleotide of next codon. So suppose U is present, it is present in the last position, it should be also present in first position of next codon. So in that case, how many codons we are going to get? We will get CCU as the first one, then we get UCA as the second one. CCU and we get UCA and UCA, and then next I will write another one also. Next we will get AGC. So here we are going to get 3 codons if there is overlapping. How many we are getting? We are getting 3 codons. Otherwise, how many we got? We got 2 codons. Of course, this C will be left here. So we got only 2 codons here. Here if there is an overlapping, we got totally 3 codons. So this is not accepted, or it is not the characteristic feature of a genetic code. Now next, third one. Comma-less. Genetic code is comma-less. Genetic code is comma-less. Comma-less means without any gap or without any punctuation mark. There is no gap between one codon. Suppose you write this way, CCU or AGG or UCA. You write in a continuation manner. There is no gap present or no comma or full stop or no punctuation mark is given. That is called as a commaless. That is the third property, commaless. Then fourth property is called specificity or unambiguous. Non-ambiguous or unambiguous, or this is also called specificity. So what is this feature? Non-ambiguous or specificity. One particular codon always codes for only one amino acid. So what is non-ambiguous? One codon codes for one amino acid. This is called as non-ambiguous or specificity. That is the fourth. The next one is called as a universal nature of genetic code. Universal nature of genetic code. That means genetic code is universal. It is common for all the organisms. Because there are few exceptions which I am going to discuss at the end. There are few exceptions. So otherwise it is universal. That means it is common for all organisms. It is common for all organisms. All organisms we mean plants, animals, humans, all organisms or viruses. It is common for all the organisms. That is called as universal nature. Now next property, next feature. Genetic code is called as degenerate. Genetic code is called as a degenerate property, or this is also called as redundancy. Degenerate, or this is called as redundancy. Degenerate or redundancy, which is we find just opposite to non-ambiguous. And non-ambiguous, what did we discuss? One codon for one amino acid. Degenerate means one amino acid can be represented by more than one codon. One amino acid can be represented by more than one codon. That is called as a degenerate or redundancy. Degenerate or redundancy. Like for example, we find some amino acids can have only one codon, that is methionine. Only one codon can be present, like for example methionine, or tryptophan, only one can be present. Or now other amino acids can have even 2 to 6 codons also can be present. 2 to 6 can be present for other amino acids. Other amino acids like leucine and serine. Leucine and serine, these have 6 codons. Some may have 4 codons also. Arginine also has 6 codons. Arginine. So arginine with 6 codons. That is a one example I'll give you for arginine. 6 codons for arginine are CGU, CGG, CGC, CGA, and AGA and AGG. These are the 6 codons for arginine. So that property is called as degenerate or redundancy. Now next property is what is terminating codons or nonsense codons. They have terminating or nonsense codons. This we are doing which property? 7th one. We are doing the 7th property. Initiating codons. initiating codon. So what is the initiating codon? So initiating codon normally is AUG. This AUG codes for the amino acid methionine. Amino acid methionine. Sometimes we may find even GUG also in some bacteria. GUG also can function as methionine or the start codon. This generally we find in bacteria. GUG as the start codon. Okay, now let us see what is the terminating codon. Now let us see what is the terminating codon. So normally I told you initiating is AUG, but in some bacteria we also find GUG as the start codon or initiating codon. Now let us see what are the stop codons, or they are called nonsense codons. Other features are nonsense codon, nonsense, or these are the stop codons. Nonsense or these are the stop codons. So we have earlier discussed there are 61 codons, total of 64. Out of that 61 are called sense codons because they represent one or the other amino acids. Now nonsense codon are remaining 3. Then these are the 3 codons which are called as nonsense codon or stop codons. They are UAA, UAG and UGA. These are the 3 stop codons. And their names are ochre, amber and opal. These different names are given, Greek names, to them based on the wavelength of light they absorb. So ochre, amber and opal, those are the names for the 3 stop codon. So these are normally present towards the end of the mRNA, towards the 3' end of mRNA. Any one can be sufficient to stop the process of translation. So if any one also, if it is present, wherever it is present, it can stop the process. So these are all called as a characteristics of genetic code. Okay, now I am going to discuss about what is a next one. We will discuss about the what is a wobble hypothesis. What is the meaning of a wobble hypothesis? Wobble hypothesis. This wobble hypothesis was proposed by Crick. Wobble hypothesis was proposed by Crick. That is, the meaning of wobble hypothesis is the third base of a codon during the pairing of codon-anticodon. Codon-anticodon must pair during the process of translation. During process of translation, the codon and anticodon will pair with each other. Anticodons are present on tRNA. So, and codons are present on mRNA. Codons are mRNA and anticodon on tRNA. So, these anticodons will come and then they bind with the codons. So, during this process, when there is a pairing of codon-anticodon, the third base of the codon, it may not be complementary. So what is wobble is the third base of a codon may not be complementary to anticodon. but still the pairing and recognition will take place based on the first two bases only. And this third base of codon is called as a wobble base. Wobble base. Wobbling means something which is shaking. Wobble base, or the position is called as wobble position. This has a very important significance. So what is its significance we will see at the end. So let us see what exactly the meaning of wobble, taking an example. Suppose we take an example of amino acid valine. Amino acid valine. So this amino acid valine is represented by, say, 4 codons starting from GU. So starting from GU, its codons are GUU, GUC, then GUG and GUA. These are the 4 codons. And suppose we take the first one, GUU. This is the codon. And what will be the anticodon which can pair with this? The anticodon which can pair with this will be CAA. Suppose this is in 5' to 3' direction, anticodon should be in 3' to 5' direction. So this will be the anticodon pairing. So this pairing will be perfect pairing. This we can call it as a perfect pairing. You know, the bond between G and C should be triple bond, and it should be bond between this should be triple bond, between U and A it is double bond. So this is how the bonding is done. This is called as a perfect. But suppose we go through the other three. Suppose let us take GUC. Still this anticodon can bind. So what will be here? It can bind with C, it can bind with A, but C cannot bind with A. So that means the first two will bind. This will be the triple bond, this will be the double bond. Here we don't find any bond for anticodon. We don't find for any bond. Similarly for the other two also, GUG also we find the same, C and A will bind. Similarly for GUA also, C and A will bind. So binding will be seen for the first two only. It is not seen for the other two. So these three together, this is called as a wobble pairing. Wobble pairing. You know very well codon will be present on mRNA and anticodon will be present on tRNA. So this you have to understand with respect to tRNA, and codon will be present on mRNA. So one single tRNA, the meaning of this is one single tRNA having the anticodon CAA, this anticodon can bind to 4 codons. So first two are sufficient. First two nitrogen bases are sufficient. So third one will not bind. The third base is called wobble base and the pairing is called as a wobble pairing. Now what is its importance? Why is this taking place, or what is its importance? Its importance is during process of translation, there will be economy of tRNA molecules. There will be economy of tRNA molecules. Economy means there will be saving of tRNA molecules. They will be conserved or they will be saved. So here instead of 4 tRNA molecules, there is requirement of only 1 tRNA molecule. So this was very important finding explained by Crick, and that is named as wobble hypothesis. Now next I am going to discuss about, there are some exceptions in the genetic code. Let us understand what are the exceptions of genetic code. exceptions of genetic code. Exceptions of genetic code. So let us understand the exceptions. What is universal and what is the exception with respect to mammalian or human mitochondrial gene. So I'll give you in the tabular form what is first universal. And in mitochondrial genes, mitochondrial genes, this is with respect to human mitochondrial gene or any other mammalian mitochondrial gene. What is the difference we find? First difference, there are 55 anticodons present here. 55 anticodons. 55 anticodons means tRNA molecules. tRNA molecules. 3 will be for the nonsense codons. 3 will be for the nonsense codons. Now here it is found that there are only 22 anticodons. There are only 22 anticodons or tRNA molecules. Then the second here difference, there are 3 terminating codons here. There in universally we find 3 terminating codons which we just discussed. Terminating codons are UAA, UAG and UGA. And here we find 4 terminating codons. 4 terminating codons. So let us see what are these 4 terminating codons. The 4 terminating codons are UAA, UAG and then AGA and AGG. These are functioning as a terminating codons. 4 terminating codons. UGA, which is a terminating codon here, whereas here UGA in mitochondria is represented by the amino acid tryptophan. It is represented by the amino acid tryptophan. That is another exception. And these two, AGA and AGG, AGA and AGG, they actually represent arginine, amino acid arginine. But what are they representing here? AGA and AGG. These two are representing the terminating codons or stop codons. Terminating codons or they are representing the stop codons. Now, any other difference, let us say any other difference. In case of, we find, like in case of paramecium, in case of other examples, other exceptions, this is the comparison between universal and human mitochondrial genome. There are other exceptions like in case of some ciliates like paramecium, paramecium, unicellular organism. So in paramecium we find the terminating codons UAA and UGA. They code for glutamine. UAA and UGA. These are terminating codons. Here they code for the amino acid glutamine. Amino acid glutamine. So these are some of the exceptions. Now, lastly, I would like to discuss about the mutations in genetic code. The last part here I will discuss. So here all this we should complete at the same time, children. You should watch in a single video so that it will be very, very clear to you. So let us see what are all the mutations in genetic code. So here briefly I'll mention what are the different mutations and with examples. with examples. So let us see mutations. Let us see what are all the different mutations. So I will name the mutations first. So first one is called as a frame shift mutation. Frame shift mutation, or we call it as point mutation also. Point mutation or frame shift mutation. So here what we find is insertion or deletion of one nucleotide, either insertion or deletion of one nucleotide. Insertion or deletion of one nucleotide will change the reading frame. It will change the reading frame. Changing the reading frame means we know we read the mRNA from 5' to 3'. So it will completely change the reading frame. That means what we read from 5' to 3', it will change the sequence of the codons. So like for example, I'll give you an example. UAU, CCA, again UAU, again CCA, and again UAU. I have taken only two types of codons. UAU will represent the amino acid tyrosine. CCA will represent the amino acid proline. Again tyrosine, and again this is proline, and again this is tyrosine. So these are the amino acids. Normally these are the codons which are represented. Now suppose we insert the nucleotide G. We insert the nucleotide G between this third and the fourth base. This is third base and fourth base. Suppose in between here we insert G. Then what will happen? Then let us see how this is going to change after inserting G. Let us write after inserting G how it is going to change. I will write first as it is UAU. From here it is going to change. It will become GCC. Then it will become AUA. Then it becomes UCC. Then again AUA. And then U. This is how the sequence of codons is changing. This is called change in reading frame. Now how are the amino acid changing? This is tyrosine. It remains same. The second one is changed. It is called alanine. Third one is called isoleucine. Isoleucine. Fourth one is serine. Serine. Fifth one again isoleucine. So I'll write the full form. This is called alanine. This is called isoleucine, and this is called as a serine. So this is how the sequence of codons is changing and reading frame is changed. That is called as a frame shift mutation. Now quickly we will see the other types of mutations also. Now next one, the second one I want to discuss. Second one is called as a missense mutation. Second one is called as a missense mutation. So what is this missense mutation? If there is a change in nucleotide which causes change in one amino acid, change in nucleotide causing change in one amino acid, then we call it as a missense mutation. Like for example, suppose this is UGU. UGU is actually represented by cysteine, and this is converted to UGG, which is a tryptophan. So change in one nucleotide is changing the amino acid. That is called as a missense. Now, next type is called as nonsense mutation. Nonsense mutation. Nonsense, already we have seen that it causes the termination of the protein synthesis or termination of the translation process. So what is this nonsense mutation? So change in nucleotide, if it causes the formation of nonsense codon, change in one nucleotide, which causes formation of a nonsense codon, that is called as a nonsense mutation. So once the nonsense codon is formed, the translation process or protein synthesis is coming to a stop. So like for example UGU, which we have taken earlier, UGU, what is it coding for? The amino acid cysteine. This is changed to UGA. Suppose the last base is changed, it is changing to UGA. You know UGA is a stop codon. This type of mutation is called nonsense mutation. Now, the last type of mutation is called as a same sense mutation. Same sense. That means even if there is a change in nucleotide, if it does not cause any change in amino acid. So, what is same sense mutation? Due to change in nucleotide. There is a change in nucleotide, but no change in amino acid. No change in amino acid. That is called as a same sense mutation. Like for example, if you take the example of a amino acid leucine. Suppose we take the example of amino acid leucine. Leucine will have 4 codons starting with CU. Suppose it is CUU. Then we have CUC and then CUA and CUG. Suppose CUU is the codon. Then third base is undergoing mutation, but there is no change in amino acid. All codons will represent only one amino acid, that is leucine. Since there is no change in amino acid, this is called as a same sense mutation. So, I think children, I have discussed this topic up to here, genetic code and its mutations in detail. So, this is bit longer video, but here we can't help it because some things we have to discuss at one stretch. Then once you watch the video in one go, you will be able to understand very clearly. Because you can watch as many times as possible, subtopic wise also, because I have divided the topic into 5 subtopics. So each subtopic you take and then try to understand and learn it. That will be very, very useful to you children. I hope you have understood it. And those who are watching my video for the first time, please subscribe my channel so that whatever videos I upload in my next sessions, you're going to get the notifications. So that's all for now children. Thank you very much. Have a very good day. The next video I'm going to start is next session. I will discuss about structures of different types of RNA. That is tRNA, mRNA, rRNA. First I'm going to discuss the structures of these. After discussing the structure, then I'm going to continue with the process of translation. Because to understand translation, you have to understand first the structures of these 3, mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. So let us close now. For now, that's all for now. Thank you very much children. Have a very good day.